If you could take your seats, please. Thank you.
I knew that my dream could become a...
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone.
Kind of opened my mind.
I'm Jennifer Minetti. I'm the chair and the inaugural Jane B. Nord Professor of Fashion at Pratt Institute. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the Fashion Department's first Black Dress Talks. This event and ongoing series are made possible by the generous support of the Jane B. Nord Endowment. And now I'd like to introduce our host and esteemed colleague, tenured professor Adrienne Jones, the co-founder and of the Black Dress Project, along with her colleague, Pratt Fashion alum, Rochelle Etienne Robinson. Professor Jones co-curated the landmark exhibit titled Black Dress, which honored Black designers and addressed the lack of diversity in the fashion industry. She is currently writing the companion book to the Black Dress exhibition and working on expanding and touring the exhibit. Professor Jones holds the honor of being the first Black woman to achieve tenure at Pratt. I'd like to thank our guests, Susan Moses and Tiffani Williams, for joining us tonight. And now, please join me once again in welcoming our hosts.
Thank you, Jennifer. And welcome to Black Dress Talks Black Style. I am so very excited about this new addition to the Black Dress Project. I would like to thank the Jane P. Nord Endowment and Pratt's Fashion Design Department for making this series possible. Since the inception of the Black Dress exhibit, the Black Dress Project has since expanded to continue highlighting Black fashion creatives through a Hold on, it's off. Must be just me. Continue highlighting Black fashion creatives through a resource website, blackdressexhibit.com, a YouTube channel, Black Dress Salon, and now tonight, Black Dress Talks. Now let's get started. Tonight's guests exemplify the excellence in the field of styling. Creative stylist Susan Moses, and Tiffani Williams. Fashion expert, celebrity stylist, and author Susan Moses is the Diane, please look that up if you don't know what that is, of plus fashion, steeped in cultures of retail, editorial, advertising, film, television, and music. Her expertise expresses a complete understanding that fashion is not just about loving clothes, but about knowing how to wear them. Her book, The Art of Dressing Curves, The Best Kept Secrets of a Fashion Stylist, is filled with high fashion images and prescriptive information and has been called the Bible for plus fashion and is currently on Amazon's bestseller list. Now, this other young lady, I have a real penchant for. I've known her all of her life, even when she was just a little seedling. Her mom and I have been best friends since high school. This is Tiffani Williams. She's an art director and celebrity stylist. She's a Brooklyn-based girl, and whether classic, contemporary, masculine, or feminine, this Brooklyn-based stylist has the unique ability to combine different looks to create art through fashion. As her career prospered, Tiffany's visions were seen on celebrities such as Howard Stern, Taraji P. Henson, Cam Newton, Derek Luke, Babyface, and Jamie Hector, to name a few. Her client list includes Amazon, Hugo Boss, Macy's, Brooklyn Circus, and Target. Tiffani says, "I love working in situations where the clothing is the hero. When working with models, they are a blank slate. The clothing allows the story to take form." All right, so what led you to your journey in fashion?
Whew. Y'all ready to be here all night? Well, first of all, I just want to say, I got to shout out Gen Z for voting. Because as a creative person, freedom is real important for me. And for so many of you, and for a school like Pratt, we got to be free. So shout out to Gen Z, who came out in full force, 63%, and voted. And I have always kind of lived free in my head, no matter what anyone else was saying. And I grew up in the South Bronx, and my mom was like, culturally, she loved to read. She indulged us in music, sports, reading, whatever was fun, and would teach us something new and give us a new experience. And she was a single mom. My father died when I was very young. I was 3 years old. And as I was going through school, you know, it's always get that regular job, or, you know, you're gonna go you need a good government job, but as I was going to school and when I was going to college, I was focused on being a lawyer. And going to John Jay College of Criminal Justice, of all places, thinking I'm gonna be this lawyer, and I started working in fashion, working as a dresser at the different shows. This was when Fashion Week was all over the city. It wasn't Bryant Park. And I was so enamored with the pace, with the glamour, with the beauty. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna finish up at John Jay. So there I was. It was my last year. I'm taking a final exam, and I looked around the room and I said, what am I doing here? I'm not gonna do this. So I got up, I gave the professor the test, and I walked out and never looked back. And I worked in retail, showrooms. I worked in the shops where they did all the retouching. And finally, I started meeting photographers. I worked in showrooms. I ended up in Caroline Rome's showroom. A lot of you might be too young to know who she is, but she's an American couturier, and I ended up working in her showroom, just being picked out of a lot of dressers from a show, and the vice president recognized that I would deal with the most difficult models at the show. So he was like, you should come and help us out during marketing week. So I started working in their showroom doing marketing week. But one thing kind of spiraled into another, and I never looked back. I just never looked back. But you know what I always tell every young person who asks me about styling? That if you really love fashion, and this is a business that you really, Tiffani and I were laughing in the back, you really have to love fashion, dealing with different personalities, to be a stylist, because it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. And every place you work at has to be your playground. If you work in retail, play with the clothes. Understand how you dress different body types while you're working in those stores. Don't let any place you work in fashion be a waste of time, because at some point, you're gonna need all of those skills. But that's how I got my start.
So I can relate to a lot of things that you just said. For me in particular, what got me into fashion is clothing. Period, end of story. I love clothing. I love the alchemy of it. I love the power of it. I love the mystery of it. I love how it can transform people. And that, from when I was younger, I always had a very specific vision of what I wanted to look and dress like. My mom, sitting here in the front row, she can tell you that if she laid clothes out for me to go to school and I didn't like that outfit, I'm not wearing it. I had a whole other outfit in my backpack that was gonna get put on the bus on the way to school. And this is 3rd grade. I'm not talking about junior high school. If I put a skirt on and I didn't twirl around and the skirt didn't flare out, unacceptable. I'm not, go someplace else with it. Go someplace else. But, right. See, she says at 5. So that was me personally, but what was happening in my household, my family comes from Jamaica, and I realized my great-grandmother and my grandmother used clothing as a way of social mobility. I didn't realize it at the moment, but it made me really believe in the power of clothing and how you can present yourself to the world, that dialogue. So, over time, that relationship just got deeper and deeper and deeper, and at times more expensive and, more of a headache. And it eventually led me to become a personal shopper part-time after college. Just like you, I had aspirations of having a safe job. I thought I wanted to be a doctor for a second, but I pass out when I see blood. So very quickly that, I had to change directions there. But I started to realize that my personal shopping job gave me more joy than my marketing job. And I asked myself the same question, like, what am I doing here? I'm gonna die if I sit at this desk every day. And I bet on myself, so here I am.
Thank you. Love that little journey there. Okay, next question. Have you had mentors, and how have they helped to pave the way for you?
Yes, I've had mentors. I assisted a lot when I first got started. So I had people that helped me with the business aspect of it. Some people intentionally and unintentionally. Some of them I would watch them and see that they were a mess, and they taught me what not to do. And then there's some people that taught me what to do. I think I looked at a lot of different situations, like what can I learn in every situation? What can I learn? And it's important. It definitely is important. If I could turn back the hands of time, one of the things that I wish I had a little bit more mentorship with was the business aspect of it. We can talk about all the creativity and your knowledge of clothing, but working for yourself also requires business skills if you're going to have like longevity, if you're going to have a live-work-life balance, if you want to retire from styling. That's like a joke, but yeah, so that's kind of like, those relationships helped me tremendously, whether it was positive or negative.
I was fortunate. I had mentors at different times throughout my career. In the beginning, as I told you before, I was picked out of some dressers at a fashion show to come work for Caroline Rome. And that was a relationship I had for a good 4 years. They wanted me to work with them on the regular, but I was in school and I had other obligations. But the vice president of the company and the president took me under their wing, and they really taught me about how garments are made and showroom protocol. And Caroline Rome catered to all the high society. I don't know if any of you remember Martha's of Park Avenue. Like, that was the place. And so all these Ivana Trump, she used to come up and shop. So all these society women came up there. I got to meet them and show them different garments and work with really high-end models. So it was like starting at a very high place. And then I just had women throughout my life who, they don't even know they were my mentors, like Miss Sandra Martin sitting here, who was at Essence Magazine, who showed us about being dignified and caring about how you worked and what you were doing and how you spoke to people. And I always give her nothing but respect because she knows how much I love her and respect her and what she's taught me. Recently, my mentor from Hollywood, when I first got to Hollywood, I moved there in 1996 to work on the television show Moesha. My wardrobe supervisor, who just passed away 2 weeks ago, she was one of the first black women in the union in Local 705 in LA, and she taught us like from breaking down a script to closing out the season, and that kind of information I've carried with me for the last like over 20 years. So these different people who come in and out of my life, I've always held them dear, and mentorship is really, really important. And having people who walk before you that you respect and continue to respect and utilize that information and pass it on. Pass those gems on. We can't hold on to that. We have to pass them on.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, who or what inspires you, and how do you keep your ideas fresh and current?
That's a great question. If I'm honest, everything inspires me. Like everything. I enjoy people watching. I enjoy watching how people wear clothing. I enjoy what people eat, what they wear when they go eat, the music they listen to, and just a combination of all those things and how that can have an effect on someone's essence and someone's presence. New York inspires me. I've tried to live other places. I've tried so hard, guys. I really have. I wish I could live someplace else full time, but New York definitely inspires me, and just the melting pot that it is, the different cultures and socioeconomic backgrounds that just all melt together on a daily basis, seamlessly. Music inspires me deeply. Music inspires me deeply. I think that another thing is just if I can see two different people wearing the same shirt and see how different it looks on two different people, that's inspiring to me as well. I try, at least now in my career, to take the time out for inspiration because I've realized how much it plays into my creativity, and that's not something that I've always done. So I try to respect and honor that and take time out for, to be inspired, just to be open, to be able to receive those messages and that vibration.
Well, we're inspired by a lot of the same things. Film, whether old films, contemporary films, I'm very much inspired by that. Music deeply inspires me. To the point where I'm always ready to break out in a tune. Don't worry, Jelani, I'm not gonna sing. But, but I'm really, and my muse for my career has been curvy women. I mean, I've dressed all women, but plus size women have been my muse for most of my career. But I'm like Tiffani, I'm inspired by a lot of things. And growing up in New York is just, it's just a big pot of inspiration. The museums, Broadway, just walking down the street. Because you know, in New York, everybody's a star too. So that's, that's the beauty of New York. But I'm inspired by some of everything, yeah.
Thank you, because I'm always talking to my students about inspiration and how it just fills you, you know, but you can't design in a box, that box being your head. Okay, we're gonna take this a little deeper now. Talking about the challenges. What challenges have you faced as a woman and as a Black woman in the fashion industry? Musa.
You want to just tell the students? You want to start? You want to take that one?
Nobody knows. Deep breath. You know, there have been some serious challenges, and like I said, it's my passion and my love for this business and the respect for what I do that keeps me going. I mean, I really, really love this business, but there have been times where people just downright disrespect you just because of the color of your skin. Also, they don't think you can do the job because of the color of your skin. I can give you an example. A couple of years ago, I was doing a huge campaign and shooting like 5 commercials in a week. And it was all happening in LA. I had a whole lot of assistants. And from the very beginning, I felt that energy that this very highbrow director, her team didn't think I could do it. And they were angry because the art director demanded, and the lead actress in the commercial demanded, that I be the premier stylist on the job. So everything was a tug of war. And in those times, what I have to do is I have to really focus. I have to have meetings with my team to make sure they are as focused as I am, because we can't afford to screw up. And at this particular point, the producer, he was really, really giving me a hard time, and I had to just ignore him. But the beauty of it is I trust me. I know who I am, and I know that I can deliver. So at the end of the job, he was standing around, we're packing up the room, and he's standing around like a fly, just buzzing about while we're packing up. And then he goes, Susan, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. He goes, I owe you an apology. I said, yeah, you do. You do. You weren't nice to me, you weren't fair. And, well, you know, no, I accept your apology, and I'm gonna keep it moving. But what I tell people is, when you get that energy, you have to just go into your faith, whatever you believe, and focus and understand that you can trust you. But this is not an easy business. I'm grateful that I've had so many clients that trusted me. And even when the powers that be was like, no, you need to get a new stylist. No, we're gonna bring this team in. Because back in the days, a lot of us, there were a lot of stylists that came up. We would make these incredible images for different singers especially. And all of a sudden, all the highbrow photographers that shot for Harper's Bazaar or Vogue, all of a sudden they wanted to shoot them. But they would present it as, well, we want to shoot them, but we only want to use our team. So that became another tug of war, because they were trying to kick us out the door after we created the image. So it took, I mean, I've had clients who would decline the job, say, no, I'm not doing it, because I don't trust who you're bringing in. But it took a lot of strength for them to do that, because sometimes that means they were gonna miss money. So I had to be sure to deliver. But it's been a tug of war. It's not always easy. It's not an easy thing. And that's why, Tiffani, I said, you have to love this to do it.
Okay, so, right, with deep breath. So I think sometimes there's this misconception that because it's fashion, it's creative, that it's not still America, right? And very much it's still a microcosm of what the rest of the country or the world is. You know, I can say, starting out, you know, I didn't have an uncle that owns this, or a cousin that owns this, or somebody works at this publication. So it's just like, I would say from the door, I had to try to knock down doors. And then still having that experience of being there, and, you know, does somebody think that you're worthy of the position that you hold? Are you worthy to be there, to be present, to be deserving of this? Can you get the job done? So I think that I try to, in situations when I have to work with difficult people, especially when I think race is involved, I work very hard on them until they love me. Very, very hard. So that I do get that apology, as you did at the end. You have no choice. Shouts out to my team here who helps me do that. You know, sometimes it's talks in the back like, all right, we hate it here. What do we need to do to get the job done and get out of here? And my agent, Stan, here, it's like, I hate it. I want to go. I want to leave right now. And he keeps me level-headed as well.
I'm not even going to tell my story.
You want me to say?
It would turn into Diana Ross and the Supremes, right? Okay. How did the pandemic affect your work as a stylist?
For me, it made me absolutely get more disciplined about money. It made me realize, yes, I have the freedom of working for myself, but then I have a responsibility with that freedom. And it just like, it made me look at numbers differently. It made me look to see where I was spending money, how much money I was spending on personal clothing, how much I was eating out. So it shifted more of a business sense in me. And it made me realize, like, the bottom can drop out, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to be scared. It's not going to stop me, but I need to get serious about the business aspect of it. And that's something, as I mentioned before, I have tripped along the way with learning the business aspect, in particular the finances, and being able to plan for your future. For what it also did is, when I got back to work, I really appreciated being at work. I want to say maybe I sighed a little bit less or rolled my eyes a little bit less if something was frustrating. But it also made me stand firm in, I'm not working with mean people. I'm not, I'm sorry. This could be my last job. I'm not going to spend it being unpleasant, being spoken to rudely. I mean, I know my value, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
The pandemic definitely, I mean, because what we do is physical, so for the most part, it was shut down. But for me, it was a little bit different, and I can't sit before you and not tell you the whole truth. I got very sick. It wasn't COVID, but right before the pandemic shut down, I was talking to my surgeon about hip surgery, replacing my hips. But you know, New York totally shut down. And then the doctors gave me an anti-inflammatory, which I had an allergic reaction to, and it damaged my liver. So there I was, green, in the hospital for 2 weeks, in Mount Sinai for 2 weeks, and I had to go through a series of tests. Thank God I was able to, as we all know, your liver will regenerate and heal itself. So I was able to get through that, and then I had to have 2 hip replacement surgeries, which I'm fine. Thank God I can, you know, I can dance again. But it made me get back to my faith more, make more time to meditate. It also made me, I got a chance to like woosah, read more, because I've always been an avid reader, and dig into what's going to be my next chapter. And I started writing again. And I think that we all have a lot of gifts, and sometimes we're like speeding through life and everything is happening so fast that we don't take time to do the work on what else you want to do in this life. Because who said we can only do one thing? And because as a stylist, I've been able to and blessed to be able to do different things: advertisement, celebrity styling, film, you know, traveling all over the world, going on tour with musicians. I've been able to kind of do a little bit of everything, but it really gave me a chance to say, what's next, kid? What's next? So it had its downside, and then it had its good things. But I'm just blessed that I got through it okay. But it also made me think about one more thing that I want to talk to you creatives about. When you're working freelance, it's important to have health insurance, because that part, I was so grateful that I had health insurance. And as a creative person working freelance, a lot of us don't. So that's something you have to keep in mind as a person working freelance, is to have health insurance. It's very important.
Now to the culture. How has the focus on diversity affected your work? Or lack thereof?
Well, when I first came in, there still was a huge lack of diversity. And if I'm honest, should I say this? If I'm honest, as time has gone on, post BLM, I've seen some performatory diversity attempts. It can be kind of ugly. I can say that the biggest diversity push I've seen is more body inclusive and more inclusivity with the LGBTQ community, which I'm excited about. But yeah, I would say in the diversity space, I would like to see more money being thrown in the diversity space. Like, don't just use us, and then the money's not there. Where's the money?
I totally agree with everything Tiffani has just said, and I have been a huge part of pushing for more body diversity for the majority of my career. 68% of women in this country wear size 14 and up, and still a lot of schools are not even teaching in design schools to design for a body type that's size 14 and up. I've also been pushing for more older women to be in media and fashion. It's important. Just because you're not 25 years old doesn't mean you don't want to look good. And it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like, sometimes I'm like, well, who are y'all designing for? Like, and women of a certain age have a lot of money, so y'all missing a beat here. Y'all missing a beat, and trying to dispel of all these ridiculous notions. Plus size women don't spend money. They don't want fashion. And anytime any brand pushes the envelope with the fashion, that's the first thing that sells out. So it's like, can we all get on one accord and design for everybody? It's important. I'm over the performative stuff. Fashion is for everyone. It is not a luxury. We all have the right to be fabulous. That's a right. They need to add that, amend that. they
Hashtag the right to be fabulous.
We all have the right to be fabulous. Like,
did I say I love these women? So, how do you integrate pop culture into your work?
Well, I think being a sponge already and taking inspiration from so many different places, I think that just naturally happens, whether it's politics, music, food, travel, just a bunch of different things. I feel like it naturally happens. It just naturally happens. I don't think that I take the time out to do it specifically unless there's a specific message in something creative that I'm doing, but I think it just happens organically, and that's how I would prefer for it to be anyway.
I totally agree with Tiffani, especially music. I mean, for me, I hear music all the time in my head. When I'm shopping, even preparing for tonight, I was listening to Nas, all I need is one mic, and I got it. I'm all about pop culture, and like she said, it is just, it's organic. It just happens.
We're here at Pratt Institute. There are a lot of students here. So what would your advice be to students who are considering a career as a stylist?
Bet on yourself. That's it.
You You really, really got to love it. And you know what? You know, another reason why you really have to love it, because we deal with not just the client. If you're doing advertisement, you're dealing with the advertiser, the agency, the models, the photographer, lots of opinions. So when you walk in that room, you have to have like a quiet authority when you come in also. You can't be rocked by people. You can't take it personally. So it's a lot. It takes a special personality. And then when you're a celebrity stylist, you have to create boundaries with people as well, that you're not available 24/7. You know, there's a method to this thing, but you really, really, you have to love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I get a time check? I just want to check the time. 6:45? 10 to 7? Okay. Can I get my handsome guys to come down? I got some workers that came. We're going to open up the floor for a Q&A.
Hi, ladies. I know you, Susan, and so I know only a fraction of the work that you've done, but I wanted to hear from you. Who was your favorite celebrity styling? Who was your favorite celebrity client?
Can I have more than one?
No.
That's tough. That's really a tough question. I've been blessed to work with some really, really great. I started with let me just tell them, I started with the babies. And what's wonderful is when you start with teenagers, you don't know where they're going. You know what I mean? So I worked with Brandy for like 7 years. Moesha, her whole career. Her and her mom actually used their power to relocate me to LA. That's how I ended up in LA for like 10 years, because they relocated me. Called me one day and it was like, Susan, you want to come to LA? We need you on Moesha. I was like, when are we shooting? We're going to start in 2 weeks. Well, where I'm going to live? Don't worry about it, just come. So it was Brandy, it was Britney Spears, it was the original Destiny's Child, and the young girls taught me how to listen. Like, a lot of times we don't listen to young people or teenagers. It's like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. But they taught me how to listen, because they're the ones going out there in front of the whole world, and they're in an awkward stage. We all know what being a teenager is like. You're in an awkward stage in your life, and I became a really great listener, and that prepared me for the other ladies that I would work with, Winona Judd, Queen Latifah, Jill Scott. It prepared me for the rest of the road. But I'm sorry, Wilbur. I'm sorry. I love those dolls. And I don't have a favorite. I honestly don't. It takes a lot of courage to do what they do, whether people realize it or not. You know, getting out on those red carpets, standing on a stage while everybody's picking at you, especially in this era of social media. And I have a lot of admiration for what they do. And I'm sorry, but they're all my dolls. Sorry.
Hello, thank you so much for sharing this evening. As I listen to both of you, I wonder, what is your dream for yourself over the next, I don't know, but when you look at yourself developing as a woman and as a creative and a stylist, what is your dream for yourself?
That's a great question. That's also a loaded question. one of the things that I feel like I'm naturally moving towards is being able to express myself creatively and not just clothing. Have that bleed out into other things and almost like free my mind to see what the possibilities are, or just kind of go with the flow with what the possibilities are. I would like to create more of a work-live balance. And one day, I joke with my team all the time, I just say, one day, I'm just gonna disappear and live in the mountains somewhere, and that's it. So that's my dream.
My dream for me is just to continue living in joy. Joy and happiness is a big part of my life. My friends, I've been married, this summer will be 25 years. And we make each other laugh all day long, so that's a huge part of my life, and it fulfills my soul and my heart. And also I see myself moving into telling stories for television and film. That's where the direction I'm going in.
So my question is for both of you. My small journey in comparison to both of you guys in styling has been that there are a lot of ups and downs and transition phases. So when you're going through those growing pains of getting to the next level or the next project or whatever in styling, how do you deal with that? Or where do you go? What gets you through it?
Well, when the question was posed, like, what advice would you give people? And I said, bet on yourself. Like, that is a loaded statement, and I think it means so many different things. I think one of the things within betting on yourself is trusting yourself. And just know in whatever phase you're in, you're there for a reason. You're not gonna be there forever. What can you learn? What can you take away? What can you release? And kind of try not to be anxious in that state. Yeah.
I totally agree about not being anxious, but the thing of it is you have to stay positive, no matter how hard it is. You gotta know that tomorrow is another day. That's something I get from my mom when I'm like, she's like, tomorrow's another day, slow your roll. But also, stay creative. Do something that has nothing to do with clothing, because you're gonna find something in that inspires you. Go to a museum, go for a walk, go look at some flowers, but keep your creativity juices rolling. That is you're gonna just walk into the next thing without any effort. That's what will happen. It's like finding love. You usually find it when you're not looking for it. So you have to just stay positive, keep that beautiful smile, and just keep moving forward. And sometimes it's a little hard, but you can do it. Know that you can do it.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank you all for your transparency. I'm Carla Nelson. I'm the creator of Black Fashion World Foundation, and I have a two-part question for you. One, what is the greatest lesson you've learned during your styling career? And then two, what are some of the daily habits that you implement to be successful?
Can you give me your first question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. During your styling career, what's the greatest lesson you've learned?
You know what? The greatest lesson is when a client is not going to work with you again. When they've moved on, and some of them will tell you, but some of them will just move on without saying a word. And you have to just accept it. You have to accept it and say, you know what? Something else is coming along. Somebody else is just coming around the mountain. And it was for me, like, I remember when Brandy decided to move on, and I went to a party, and I'm walking, it was a pool party at Billy Woodruff's house, and it was fun, everybody's having a good time, and I hear somebody go, "Susan Moses, you think you got time for a sister?" And it was Queen Latifah. So you just never know, and that's why I say, you just gotta keep living your life, stay positive, and you just walk into the next thing. This is an industry you just never know how things are gonna end up. And I'm sorry, your second question?
Sure. What are some of, actually, I'll add a part to it. What are some of your daily habits that have made you successful? And then adding a part to that as I'm thinking, what are some of the habits that you're trying to implement now to go to the next level?
I don't look at it in levels. I just look at, I'm evolving constantly creatively, and I read a lot. I read the trades, the fashion trades. I love reading I like reading books of triumph and autobiographies, because anything that inspires me is what I do. I swim like 3 times a week because that clears my head. Anything that inspires me is what I do for myself. I love to walk. I go on long walks, especially since I got my new hips. You can't tell me anything. You might see me doing a little runway here through Brooklyn, okay, through Bed-Stuy. Don't mind me. I'm just enjoying my hips. But these are the things. These are the things. These are the things, just to clear my mind, stay positive. I've always loved to read, though, and I tell people reading is important because you can go to a whole nother country in a book. You don't have to get on a plane, Reading is really, really important. Sometimes all this being on the phone, the TV's going, the music, just pour yourself a glass of wine and get a good book and settle yourself. You might take you someplace and you might not want to come back mentally.
Okay, so what was the first question again? What was the first question?
The first question is, during your styling career, what is the greatest lesson you've learned?
It's hard to say what's the greatest, but Susan, what I heard from your story was just having faith that something else will come around, right? So I definitely can relate to that. I think the other thing is I realize we're all human. We are human. I don't care what color you are, what you look like, how much money you have. Styling has taught me we are human beings, and just working in this industry, you see human behavior at its best and at its worst. Second question was?
Activities of your daily life that have made you a success, and any new activities that you're adding, I say, to take you to another level or to elevate you in your career.
So that's been a journey for me, not necessarily a destination. That is forever changing. More recently, I have decided to really romanticize every aspect of my life. Like from taking time out to what I wear to bed, the bath that I'm gonna take, the book that I'm gonna read, the meal that I'm gonna eat, the quiet that I may enjoy, the drink that I may enjoy. Just having small joys in all of my moments and just showing gratitude.
Hi, my name is Mama Faye. I'm from Senegal in West Africa, and thank you, Adrienne, for inviting me. My first question is, what do you do for your community? And if you did not start yet, are you planning to really reach out? I'm going to say the underserved. I don't like to use poor because it's a state of mind. What you're planning to do to inspire them? And second, are you thinking about Africa? What's your thoughts about the new wave of African stylists coming out, and how can you go and reach back? Because believe me, they watch you, you inspire them, and they use whatever experience they get from the TV or news they get from the TV and try to combine it with their culture to create something unique. What's your thoughts about that, and what's your plan? Thank you.
Yeah, the first question was, how do I serve my community?
Yes.
I think the best way, all of us in general, not just me, all of us, to serve our community is being the best version of yourself. Working on yourself individually so that we can show up as a collective and be strong. The second question was how.
Do you have any plans for new African designers that, as I said, they're watching the news, they know about you, you inspire them, but they're combining the culture, the African culture, to create something unique. Do you have a plan of reaching out, going back, and are you thinking about collaboration?
So I think just in general, I'm always looking for new designers and new resources and new creativity. Part of, sometimes it doesn't happen as much as I would like because we're busy with task at hand, but my team and I, we do research on new designers. So sometimes scrolling on Instagram really is work. You know, we are looking at new designers, people from all over the world. And I think in particular, I've been very fascinated with not with a lot of African designers, but African designers that have lived other places and how they have used their experiences being first generation born there, and how that dictates their designs in, let's say, Amsterdam or in Belgium or in Sweden. I actually just worked with a designer out of Sweden who is from Gambia, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. But you know, outreach is important to me. Thank you. And a story. And I just think that just naturally as a person of color, you know, Africa is going to always vibrate to me.
Thank you.
As Tiffany said, us being the best version of ourselves serves our community. But I've also been a spokeswoman for different groups and going to speak to younger women and different women about fashion, about becoming the best version of themselves, also reaching their goals. In 2017, I had an event at the United Nations where I was really trying to bring all the fashion, the fashionistas together to talk about empowering women so we can see different women in media, diverse women, women of different sizes, women of different ages. And I was doing some work with the United Nations before the pandemic, which I plan to get back to. And I had the pleasure, actually, of working with some African designers at the UN. So I really want to get back to that. It's just that there's been so much protocol with COVID, it's taking more time than I would like. But I'm always looking to serve the community.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Roseanne Lynn, and I just have a question about stylists because I'm not a stylist. I don't like to call myself a stylist, but I'm innovative. In any event, I've always admired the way that you guys styled, and stylists in general, especially as celebrity stylists. I was always curious to know about items for the red carpet that were custom made. Have you worked or experienced with designers where things were custom made, and was it your decision or a collaboration? I mean, I know it's hard to, you know, collaborate with a designer when they have a vision and you have a vision of your client, but how does that actually work? I mean, how are you able to do it?
Because my muse has been women that wear size 14 and up, generally I always had to call designers. And I was gutsy about it. Like, I pick up the phone and say, listen, so-and-so is going, I need some gowns, can you help me? And because I had a reputation for making women look their very best on the red carpet, I had a lot of welcome mats. I mean, Dolce & Gabbana did clothes for Queen Latifah, Roberto Cavalli, Carmen Marvalvo. He's just amazing at dressing all sizes, and would have me come in and sit and have lunch with him, bring in a fit model, and I would say, take that top from that gown and put it with that bottom. That's gonna be great on her body. So it's about relationships, and that's another thing I don't think we really we talked about tonight, is relationships are so important. When you borrow a garment, return it like you got it. Even if you have to dry clean it, return it in the same condition.
Excuse me, thank you so much for saying that, because no, you have to understand, I've been in retail for over 30 years, okay? And it's a passion that I have. I love women coming in, men, female, women, it doesn't matter. I love coming in there, have them coming to me. I don't mind working with stylists. I know they're gonna return, but it's a collaboration. But when you come back to me with the merchandise and it's rolled up in the bag with stains on it, that's when I get kind of
and you should
pissed off, because I gave you my time and assistance. You received the garment from me on a hanger, and it was packed properly, and you're returning it to me where it looks like a piece of I don't know what. I mean, that's the least you can do, is show, you know, just show some respect.
I think you should mention that.
You
should mention that if you have clients.
I do. Oh, you have no idea.
Or then you know what I say? You know what I
know.
say to that? You can have an agreement with them, and if you don't, then you're going to pay for this. So that it protects you, because now it's an extra task in your day to take something to the dry cleaner, to air it out and stuff like that. Just let them sign a rental agreement.
Yeah.
Those relationships are really, really important. And collaborating with designers, collaborating with fashion houses, I've done it for years. And it's about, I mean, I will send flowers, I will send a bottle of champagne as a thank you. Those things, some chocolates. It's important because they are bringing in a team sometimes to do those garments, those custom garments, just for you, just for that red carpet credit. And it's nice as a stylist for me to show some appreciation. So aside from sending the garment back the way I received it, I normally send a thank you and a gift. You know, whether it's flowers, I say, or champagne. But for future stylists, relationships are so important.
And
you don't burn those bridges, and respect. It's really important to respect the clothing, because it's art. It's art. And you have to give it back like you received it.
I agree with everything that you're saying, but I also think that, you know, if you're a stylist, you're not a designer, right? You're not the designer, so if you don't have these relationships to get clothes, what can you style with? And, you know, it's just like that's a no-no. That's like an absolute no-no. It's important for you to foster those relationships in that respect.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. Thank you. Hopefully it sticks.
Am I next? Oh. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Hi to you both. Thank you for this wonderful talk. I'm a student here at Pratt, and it's wonderful to be able to witness these wonderful exchanges. I'm wondering how you approach clients who are struggling with body image, and this is a question for both of you.
That, I think just the act of dressing is intimate, and I think it's important for you to kind of take cues from your client. You don't want to push someone too much, because you still want them to feel empowered. You still want them to feel like themselves. So what like how I approach situations like that is I like to first lay out what the process is going to look like, so there aren't any misconceptions. And I would say that what I would ask in that situation is time and trust. I can't just bring you some clothing one day and you put it on and you just love it. It's going to be a dance that we have to do. I want to hear feedback from you. I want you to listen to me, and I'm going to listen to you. And, you know, some people might need baby steps. Some people are ready to just jump in. But I think it's important for you to understand, like, those cues.
I totally agree with everything Tiffani is saying. And I also do a consultation before I even bring clothing, go shopping for you, have anything made for you, because I want to know what colors you love, I have a thing about reveal and conceal. What are you most comfortable revealing, and what would you rather conceal? Because I'm trying to gauge, how sexy the garment's going to be, or how, conservative the garment is going to be, but I want to hear it from you first. And then when I see sometimes some people are a little too buttoned up, I go, trust me, let's open that up a little bit, and let me just take your photo so you can see how beautiful you look. So it's, it's a back and forth, and it takes time sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't take too much time. But, a lot of women also have had bad experiences. So they are a little frightened because of the craziness that they've already encountered. I had one client, and she was a reality star, who lost a lot of weight. And they sent me out to dress her. It was in LA. And the first thing I said, I'm going to start with evening wear, because I knew she never had any fabulous evening wear. So I'm going to start with that. And she put the gown on. I knocked on the door. I come in the dressing room, and she's in tears. So I was like, oh, God, what did I do wrong? And she grabs me by the arm and says, no, you are the first person who bought me something that I really, really love. And that it took me out. Like, I thought I was in church. I was ready to fall out. But it's those moments that really, really make me so happy that I can do that. Where, as Tiffani said earlier, where clothing really is transformational. And that's why we love what we do. Yeah.
Is it my turn now? Okay.
Good afternoon.
So, hi, everyone. So my name's Emma from Madero's Fashion PR. Thank you guys for this. I mean, I think people of any industry can benefit from all this advice we're getting. My question to you is, for aspiring stylists, whether they're straight size, plus size, whatever, what would you recommend as a way to promote themselves and to get them in the door and to cut through the clutter and to get them to be a celebrity stylist like you? Like promotional things.
That's a good one.
Honestly, I didn't, when I look back at my journey, I didn't know that I would become a celebrity stylist. That wasn't even a buzzword. Really, it really wasn't. We barely had, was using stylists. It was more like wardrobe person. That wasn't a buzzword back in the 90s. It was slow coming. So I didn't know I was going to evolve into this. But what I would say is, if you love clothing, if you want to get into styling, link up with some photographers, do some test shoots, work in environments that will expose you to this world, because it's a big world. It's not a small one. And some people stay in one area, and then there are people like me and Tiffani, where we're flying all over the place, doing campaigns, working with celebrities, doing film and television. There's so many aspects of it. And that's one thing that people don't really know. Everybody their aim is not to be a celebrity stylist. A celebrity stylist comes with a lot of weight. And there are times you see them more than you see your family. It depends on what their life is, how many contracts they have. I had one client, I was 6 months on a movie with her, and then in between that, there were press junkets and campaigns. So I was gone from home for almost a year. So it all depends on what you aspire to be as a stylist.
I agree with everything that you said. I think we just keep going back and forth and saying that. But to add to that, I would say you need to assist. You need to assist, and then it's about finding maybe someone's aesthetic that you like and trying to get in with them, or other people that kind of share that vision, and just keep trying that. And then one thing eventually will lead to another.
Okay, so my question is, how do you approach or deal with a client and or company that may have an idea, but it's on the fence of appropriation? Because I feel like the fashion industry is the main culprit for anything appropriation. So how do you deal with that relationship? I don't know, yeah.
So recently I had a project that kind of came up, and as I was looking at the creative, it felt performatory, and I didn't want any parts of it, so I respectfully declined.
I have declined projects in the past, or if the client insists, I have to just be honest. I'm a Leo. I don't have too much of a filter, so I just I just had to just tell them. There have been times I had to just be honest, and sometimes they're accepting of what I'm saying. That's no, you can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think also depends on what part. Like, did you already agree to the project? Then you're already there, because then yeah, I feel like you can say something. You're just like, I don't know if that's gonna fly, and I don't feel comfortable with that. And I think that's fair to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Orinthia L. Baines. I'm bilingual, and I'm listening to the conversation, and I'm very happy, but I would like to know if you ever bring up in your mind or thought about having some of us senior citizens being a little Madeline and Madeline outfit.
Well, just recently, well, let me not say recently, it wasn't, when we had the conversation about diversity, one of, I think, the other biggest strides is we've been seeing age inclusiveness. And, you know, I've worked with older models, we call them mature or classic. Just recently, last summer before last, I had the privilege of shooting my grandmother in a gown. So that was special to me.
I had mentioned earlier before that I had an event at the United Nations, and that was part of the platform, was inclusivity. It didn't matter about age, size, or color. I want to see more women of diversity in advertisement, in media. Our media should reflect real society. And my mom is 82 and she's my muse. She loves fashion. Like, recently I did a show on Sherry and she was like, about those outfits, I like the cat suit and the, I'm like, girl. But she has a sense of humor like mine, thank God. But she loves fashion, and I mean, fashion there's no age or size on it. Like I said, we all have a right to be fabulous. I think Biden should add that to the Constitution. We need an amendment. We need an amendment. We need a fashion amendment.
Hi, I'm Sheila Gray. Love both of you, your work.
Hi, Sheila.
I had a question. Hi. I had a question. As you are styling for a lot of celebrities, has there been pressure to use name brand designers that are more visible, more known a lot of times than using newer or maybe older designers? Do you feel more pressure to like use just for instance, like a Dolce & Gabbana, like it's more leaned over to I have to use that than more African American designers or more this designer or more that designer. Is there more pressure when you're styling for just a person, whether or a celebrity, to use this or that type of designer?
There's definitely politics to fashion, right? And especially when we look at publications and advertisers, you know, when I mentioned like the fashion industry is just a microcosm of Maine society. So the same way that you see a commercial more on television because somebody paid more, that can happen very much in fashion as well.
And to add what Tiffany is saying is that the established designers, they have the money to do the custom. You know, it's harder for a smaller designer to bring in a team and make a bunch of custom designs. So that also plays into it. You know, I'd love a new designer and, you know, to give someone that shine on the red carpet, but sometimes it's a challenge financially, which I totally understand. And that's another thing that has to change. It definitely has to change because it's really, really hard. The fact that we don't have a legacy black designer, it breaks my heart. Like, and it's because of money. It's very expensive.
Hi, ladies. Harriet Cole here.
Hey, Harriet.
Hi. Tiffany, you mentioned assisting, and I'm thinking of the students who are here who are starting. So many great ideas, and I bet you one of the questions is, how do I get the first showroom to lend me something? How do I build trust so that, especially these are primarily a diverse group of folk, how do I get people to let me borrow that dress, that shoe, whatever it might be? How do they start that relationships? Obviously, assisting can help because then, someone can vouch for them. But I would imagine that that is a barrier for some people. What would you ladies recommend?
I think one of the things that someone can do is, like, maybe it doesn't even have to start with the showroom. It could just start with the designer, because maybe that designer isn't repped by a showroom yet. And you build that relationship, and then as you build relationships with up-and-coming designers and people who are more your contemporaries, it's almost like if you're in high school, like we're all in the 9th grade, now we're gonna go to 10th grade, now we're gonna go to 11th grade. So you're building your community around you, so as people are elevating, it's like, oh, I've known this person for 10 years now, and now they're in this showroom, and now this showroom also reps this person. So I think it goes back to the importance of, like, relationships. And yeah, it can just start with the designer. It doesn't necessarily have to be the showroom.
I didn't know I was going to get intro music for my question. Thank you. Just to get back a little bit to sort of a business-specific question. Tiffani, you referred a few times to your team, and as a creative person, I know it's often difficult to sort of entrust others to carry out your vision sometimes, and a lot of times it holds a creative back when it comes time to grow their business, when you start taking on big clients and being stretched all over the place. At the end of the day, you can't do it all yourself. And it would be interesting to hear you guys talk just a little bit about your experience building your team. I don't know how large, your teams have become at this point, but it would be nice for people to get an idea of, what does it take to expand your business? You maybe start off small, and then all of a sudden you've got these clients. Now you've got to build up, you've got to staff up. And what has your experience been with doing just that?
So for me, I remember when I was assisting, I was a part of a team. I was working with a stylist who kind of was growing, and she was building a team as I was working with her, and I became a part of her team. And I remember watching her, and there were some things that I just felt like I would see she didn't trust. Not because for anything personal, but she just could not relinquish, and I watched her burn out. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want that for myself. So when I kind of had a similar situation, just like all of a sudden the work is just being thrown at me. And I was just looking for hands. And, people came on and worked, and I was just like, I want to make sure my team they feel empowered. I want their opinion. I want their ideas. I want all of those things. And I think that the more you empower people who are working with you, the more that they can stand firm in themselves and be a part of and making the team stronger. It's a journey, because I've just recently, I'm gonna say the past 4 years, I've had to have more of a bigger team, and that's been a journey. I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes. I ask for their feedback, just because I know I don't know everything, and I don't wanna act like I know everything. But I think the main thing is empowerment.
I also think, I don't know, I might sound a little crazy, it's an instinctual thing that I know who, it's just something about, I just know when I've got that person. And yeah, one of the questions I ask is, can you stand the pain? And because our hours are long, we don't work regular hours. Can you stand the pain? Like, can you be on your feet a little while? You know, can you travel? Do you like flying? 'Cause it's a lot. And are you really interested? Because if I'm going to invest this time in you, I got to know that you're willing to go the mile. And I mean, I have 3 women sitting right here in the audience who I trust with my life, who have worked with me on and off through the years. And part of it is also trusting them with money. You got to be able to trust people with money. We have these huge budgets, and it's the creative, it's the budgets. We can't do all the shopping. So you've got to cash, there's petty cash involved, there's credit cards involved. So you have to build this trust. It's a lot to be a stylist. But also starting, so we're all on the same page. We have mood boards, we have meetings. We have to be great communicators. So as you grow as a stylist, it's a really big job. And you have to have people around you that you can trust. But for me, I haven't had really bad experiences with assistants. And I also expect them to fly one day. I want you to fly off and do your own thing, and I want to be there to cheer you on. And when they come to me, that's one of the first things I tell you. I'm not one of these people who want to hold you back. I want you to learn what I do and more, and then fly the nest. Go do you. And I'm there to support you.
I kind of want to add to that now. One of the other things, like when we have team meetings and stuff like that, or like say if there's issues that we may need to talk through as a team, I always mention, like, listen, the things that you're doing now, don't look at it like you're working for me. You're working for yourself. The skills that you're building right now are for you. They're not just for me. They're not just exclusively for this experience. It's what you're going to take out into the world with you, just with having like the future in mind as well. But I love my team. Shout out to them again.
I actually just want to say thank you for being here. I'm just in awe of all you ladies. I think you're just all so amazing. And thank you for being so honest and just answering all our questions.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to throw another question at you.
Bring it on.
It's not necessarily stylist related, but it's more industry related. Because fashion seems to be totally obsessed with youth, and no disrespect to the students that are here, we love them also. But what about people who are a little bit older, who aren't in their 20s, who aren't in their 30s, going into this industry? Can they make a living? Will they have longevity? Is there a place for them? Or should they just give up now and go get that post office job?
No. Actually, the industry is changing. It's definitely changing. I mean, we definitely have models working a lot longer. I mean, we have a supermodel sitting right here in the audience. Miss Coco sitting right here. So models, I mean, they keep bringing back the supermodels. Because, they just get finer. Miss Coco just got finer. Like, what? I hear that. Yeah, so it's definitely, it's been a shift. It's slowly changing, and that's why, there are people like Tiffani and I that keep pushing for diversity. And we just have to keep demanding it. But the public is demanding it. So the powers that be have to make that shift. It's been a slow because the old guard is still trying to hold on to just, you got to be 20 years old to look a certain way. But as I said before, we all have that right to be fabulous. So it's changing though. We just have to be patient and just keep pushing. Keep pushing.
You just have to love it.
Men, how do? I basically used to use the same, a lot of the same, I go about it in kind of the same manner. I have a consultation with them. I talk to them about what they like, how they like their clothes to fit. There's some men who know what brands. I've worked with Idris in the past. He knows what he likes, what brands he likes. I've worked with Keith Sweat. Some men really know what they like. They make it easy. Some don't, and they'll tell you they don't. They'll go, I don't have time for that. You do what you do. Just make me look good. But it's almost the same concept with the same approach. And most men are generally a little easier. And I always tease them. I'm like, at least we don't have to bring you no Spanx. You know? But it's generally a little easier. But
I wanted to touch on the menswear thing too, because with Tiffany, I do PR for an eyewear brand, and you have borrowed some of the samples for men. And I always just think they look so cool. Maybe they didn't know about the brand, I don't really know, but it always looks like it's something that they would have picked out on their own. So do you prefer working in menswear or women's wear or everything?
So for a while, I took a break from styling women because I couldn't take myself out of it. I constantly wanted to dress people the way that I dress. So I almost had like a block. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna focus more on men. And I love menswear. I love men. So, you know, that being said, should I say this? Okay, so in my head, I will dress a man. My go-to for them is just like, if he was walking down the street, would I look twice at him? And not saying like as a energy attraction of what he has on. So that's kind of like my guiding light, I guess, for for men. I do think that there is something very special about dressing men in terms of like structure and proportion. I mean, I guess for women, it's similar, but it's different. But you just mentioned about like putting glasses on men, and it seems like it's something that they would wear. And I think that is success to me. If something went successful, if it looks like someone picked it out themselves, but just maybe they didn't know about the brand, or they didn't have the time or the resources or whatever. So that makes me feel good, the fact that you said that.
They always look great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Is it me? Oh, okay, hi. You know what? I'm so glad that they picked me now, because I just wanted to speak to that because so much of this is seeming to be about the psychology of people and relationships. This is a recurring theme tonight. And then you talk about, hey, I feel like I'm successful if I dress someone and it feels like authentic, like they dress themselves. Have you ever, in a consultation with a person, discovered that what they were wearing was not true to the person that they revealed themselves to be in that consultation?
I don't think so in particular, but I can tell you some of my work, when I look back at it, some of it was very terrible, and I felt like I could have did a better job. It's like I didn't feel like it was as authentic as I would like for it to have been. And just use that as like a learning curve to move forward.
Can I expand on that? I'm actually a fashion designer.
Hi, Byron.
I met some celebrities sometimes in our studio, and once you get to know them, I realize a lot of the things, the ideas they have about dressing up, is just that. It's ideas.
And language. We use different language for things.
And I noticed that sometimes you can get lost in the idea of what you should be wearing instead of like discovering who you are and what you could be wearing. And I just imagine that that is so much a part of what you do.
It is, and I actually think some of my best experiences where I feel as fulfilled walking away is we let go of that idea. We let go of what you thought, and we're here right now at this moment, and this is what looks great on you, and you can feel that energy coming from that person. I would love from all of my experiences to be like that.
We're going to take one more question, and then we're going to wrap it up because this Q&A could go on all night. Is this on? All night.
So it's
All
me,
night.
right?
You could go on all night.
So I'm the last one. Thank you guys for your talk. I just have a question. As a designer, if I wanna have the chance for you to look at my stuff, in case that you like it, so that you can use it, how I can do that? Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask my question?
Yes.
Okay, hi. My name is Dawn Holloway. I'm a personal stylist, and my question is about personal styling. Do you guys do personal styling as well? Do you stick to celebrity styling?
I do personal styling as well.
Okay.
I do personal styling as well.
Do you find that more, I should say, easier than dealing with the celebrity styling because or is it kind of the same for you guys?
For me, it's all the same. It's because I'm going to give you the best of me, no matter what I'm doing. So I don't kind of look at it in categories. You know, it's because it's, as Tiffany stated earlier, it's intimate. It's an exchange, and I'm going to give you the same attention that I give a celebrity. Everyone to me is important.
I have found more recently I feel more fulfilled when I'm dealing with people who aren't celebrities.
That's why I like personal styling, because when you said that you had an experience how the person cried. I had that happen, and it just made me feel so good inside. It's like I'm doing the right thing. So, thank you.
I used to have a joke that if I get the Oprah cry, then I'm doing the right thing. Good.
Wait, what is this? Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What would be your ultimate celebrity high?
See, my answer is going to still be the same. It's more about the experience. It's going to be about someone that already has a personal essence. It's going to be about like an exchange, someone who was creative as well. And I can just help them transform into whatever it is that they're doing, wherever they're going, or the character that they want to become.
I just want to say thank all of you for coming out tonight. This has been amazing. I love you, Tiffany. I love you, Susan.
We love you too.
And I truly hope you will continue to support the Black Dress Project, especially now that we're going to be a series. Okay? So we'll be back again in February because it's Black History Month, it's Fashion Week, it's all of that. So I do hope you will join us again. Follow us on Instagram because I have to say that, Black Dress Exhibit. We have a fabulous website. If you are a designer, if you're anybody under the umbrella of fashion, and as a person of color, contact us. We would love to put you on our website. It changes all the time. We're always looking for new and old because we got to bring all that together. You got to know the shoulders of what you stood on in order to be where you are today. Okay? So I'm going to offer up my ladies. We're going to take a few pictures, and then we're going to be out. Everybody get home safely.
Thank you. Thank you.